So I'm just going to share my experience like before and after joining DYN in October 2022. So just to give everyone some context, right? I am a lecturer at a private college, like what Kaho mentioned, in Klang Valley. I'm married, no kids. I'd say like my income is decent. I don't have any lavish spending. I am grateful. I didn't have any credit card debt like back in 2022. But then I did have a personal loan, a car loan, and also a mortgage. Before I joined DYN, I kept track of my expenses. So I thought I was being quite responsible with my money. But then I didn't really know like how to allocate my budget effectively. There are just so much information out there. I was not certain which one to follow. There's like the 50, 30, 20 rule. And then I also came across like the 75, 15, 10 rule. Then there's also like 6 jars. Then there's like so many things. So long story short, I was running on deficit each month. That taps into my savings. So over time, I can see my savings like depleting. I definitely didn't really know like how hard my money was working for me. In fact, I didn't even know like that was a thing. Like, how hard is your money working for you? Then my response would be like, is that a thing? So that was like where I was at 2022. So, but there's one thing that I know for certain. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. Like that is something that I know deep down in my core. I definitely don't want to be stuck in the rat race. That's why I tried like investing in some stocks. But I didn't have the confidence to pick out good companies. Like what Ian said at that time, that's probably not an investor profile. That is just more like a speculator profile. So yeah, that's where I was. And if I were to like just pretty much sum how I felt in one word, I would just say the word would be overwhelmed. I knew I had to do something, but then I really didn't know like where and how to get started. So that was quite an overwhelming feeling that I had. So I guess the universe heard me loud and clear, because the moment I made that decision, right, that choice, right, I'm going to do something, then came along Casey. So I've been following Casey's webinar and joined in his newsletter. So Casey sent an email back in 2022, and he announced that there's an upcoming webinar. So he said like, Kaho is going to share on how, so Isabella saved 9,000 ringgit per month, even with negative cash flow. So I had no idea who is this Kaho person, right? Never heard of his name. But then I know like I want to save money, and I definitely want to get out of negative cash flow. So I signed up. It was a 3-day webinar at that time. By the end of that 3-day webinar, I learned Ice Jar, just like what all of you have just learned just now. And then I also got educated on like the different ways that I can consolidate my debt, because at that time I said I have a personal loan, car loan, right? And what's really important to me is like attending webinar and expanding your knowledge is one thing, but going through the transformation is more important. I was very glad that by the end of that webinar, I actually had like actionable steps. So it was very practical attending the webinar. So when Kaho shared his invitation to DYN after the webinar, I thought to myself, and I just wondered like, I can get actionable steps from his free webinar. I wonder like what kind of results I would be able to get if I sign up for DYN. He shared further like the monthly mentorship, like what he mentioned earlier. So that was the tipping point. So that was like the selling point when I saw the monthly mentorship. I said, yes, this is for me, because it's really important to have like continuous support and be around like-minded individuals, because after all, you're the average of the 5 people you're surrounded with, right? I decided to basically just give myself a chance, and I signed up for DYN. So one of the journey is to complete my financial compass. I did that, and I actually figured out what is my money cancer. Like when you actually know what is your money problem, then only you can effectively apply the solution, correct? Like if you don't know what is your money issue, then you're just like applying a lot of random solution. It's not very effective. Sure, you'll get you some results, but then it's not very effective. So I did the diagnosis. Turns out I was like Raymond. I was overspending, overcommitting, and underinvesting. So that was me back in 2022. So I learned the 5-step DYN framework. I made my money work harder. And at the end of it, I also took up the 10K challenge. Just in case, like, if you're wondering, like, what's this 10K challenge, right? It's not 10,000 steps, yeah, the one that you walk every day. not that. This one is harder than that. So it's a 60 days challenge where I had to either like free up my cash flow that is equivalent to 10,000 ringgit over the span of 1 year, or I need to save up at least 10,000 in loan interest. And then another option is I can generate additional 10,000 through investment profits, rental, or side hustle. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kaho. I
Yes,
got it right?
correct.
Okay. So the critical part is I have to do either one of these, achieve the 10,000 within 60 days. That's quite a challenge. Not sure about you, but I felt the stress. So the pressure was on. But then the good thing was, since I attended that webinar and I had actionable steps, right? So I already started taking action, like making contacts and all that. So I continued down the debt consolidation route, basically. And happy to say, I freed up 1,700 ringgit of cash flow every month. So if I were to like multiply that by 12 for a year, right, that amounts to about roughly 20,000 per year. So happy to say that I accomplished my 10K challenge ×2. So yeah, that's pretty liberating. Going from deficit and then now surplus. So what did I do with the extra money that I now suddenly free up, right? Earlier, I mentioned that I dabble into stock investing, but then don't have the confidence. So now that I free up that cash flow, so I did what I thought I should do, which is getting educated on stock investing. So that's when I enrolled in Ian's and Casey Lau's program called Dividend Vault. And then eventually after that, graduated from Dividend Vault, then also went into Growth Vault. So very, very valuable program. I have to say that now I have that confidence that I can actually pick up the right dividend stocks. And then I'm also happy to be enjoying more than 5% in dividend yields. So that feeling is really nice. You feel like you're in control. You're not like buying in a blind and hoping for the best. And like if the stock price goes down, your heart also go down together. No longer have that issue. Yeah, very structured. So yeah, thank you, Ian and Casey, for making that possible. So yeah.
Fantastic.
So I'm definitely feeling more confident and very empowered, really. Because in the span of 1.5 years, I managed to grow my net worth by 14.4%. It's not like huge. To some people, this may not be a very big number. But to me, right, the way I see it is like, if I didn't take any action back in like end of 2022, and I just stayed where I am, I'm very confident that this is not going to be the number. Double-digit growth. If I'm lucky, maybe single-digit growth, right? Because after all, I am working, I am contributing to my EPF. So it's not going to be 14.4 for sure. So if you ask me like, am I where I want to be at financially? Of course not yet. But one thing I know is that at least I know how I'm going to get there. Because before DYN, I didn't have that clarity that part is missing. And I'm a planner, I'm a structured person. So with that missing part, it's really like hindering my vision. So now that I have a plan in place, and I'm actively working on my plan, it's just very empowering to me, knowing that I actually have control over my desired financial goals. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you can relate to my story, right? Like if I'm speaking to you and you can resonate and you are asking yourself right now, like, should I be considering DYN or not? I just say like, you know what? You just owe it to yourself to really prove to yourself that you can do it. Anyone can achieve results. It's just, whether you want to take actions on it or not. Because if like you don't like your current financial results, right? Then you have to make a different choice and you have to take different actions so that you will get different results. I'm a chemistry lecturer, so I like chemical equation. It shows, right? Okay, so I will share my equation. Yeah. So it's choices plus actions gives you results. So your input is your choices and your action, and then your output is your results. So it's very easy, like you evaluate your current situation, you look at your results in life or in financial, right? So you look at it, and if you're not happy where you're at, the only way that will make sense is you have to change your input. And to change your input, you have to first start by making different choices. And when you make different choices, you will take different actions. And then you will get your different results. So yeah, that's my equation of life. Yeah. So thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much.
allowing me. Yeah, for allowing me the time to share my story. I hope it has provided some insights and maybe inspire some of you in your financial journey. So yeah, thank you so much.